Hi everyone, welcome to Edison Bob. Today with our topic, how Gavin Wood's new product focus is shaping Polkadot. So it has been an exciting week for me. I was invited to the Web3 retreat, this time in Germany. And for the first time, it was the first time for me to be at the retreat of the Web3 Foundation. And it was all about the new direction, the new focus that the ecosystem is taking, especially Parity and the Web3 Foundation. So we were discussing a lot about Gavin Wood's new ideas about how Parity is going to be steered, how the Web3 Foundation can align itself, how the DAO can play a role in that, OpenGov can play a role in that. And so I want to use today's stream as an opportunity to discuss everything that we have learned in the past few weeks, that I have learned this week. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in chat. Make also sure to like and subscribe. And yeah, I want to take it slow and easy today. I have a little bit like of a tiny bit of a cold, so please forgive me for that. But this conversation today is for everyone who feels as a part of the ecosystem and wants to stay in the loop, wants to be part of the conversation, and I want to share everything with you that I can share. So starting off, two pieces of news this week: the dot supply cap and elastic scaling. So the supply cap was actually agreed on in OpenGov. It was voted on. The hard pressure supply model has won. So that means there is a hard cap of 2.1 billion dot that is going to become valid for Polkadot. And a inflation reduction step of roughly 54% initially, starting on March 14th. So March 14th, 314 is Pi Day. And on Pi Day, we will have a reduction. And then every 2 years from there on out, there will be a reduction of 3.14%. So Pi percent, no, 13.1%. So that people are asking, when is that change actually coming? The code change for that is actually coming fairly soon. There has been a new developer in the technical fellowship. His name is Dom, and he is a big fan of OpenGov. And so he is really looking to implement the features and wishes that the community is voicing, that people are agreeing on in OpenGov. And so this is what he has actually been building. So right after the Polkadot hub migration, which will happen in 2 months, I think in 2 months, like in 1.5 months, when the Polkadot hub migration has happened, it might be the very next release for the Polkadot runtime that introduces the hard cap and also prepares this new schedule with the halving for DOT. So that's the supply cap. The other news is elastic scaling has actually launched or has been activated. So it has been made ready to Polkadot for quite some time now, but there was a feature toggle. So OpenGov had to explicitly activate this feature of elastic scaling. And it took a bit more time because the core developers have discovered a few improvements for the networking so that there is no possibility that maybe some malicious nodes could create spam for the network or could create denial of service attacks or basically create disputes. So these were called dispute storms, where there were situations if a validator submitted blocks in a wrong manner, there were dispute storms created and they created a networking issue. So these issues have been removed. They were mostly theoretical in nature, so there was not really an actual problem, but they have been discovered in the introduction of elastic scaling. So these have been removed, and now elastic scaling is activated. And what it means is that now chains that are building on Polkadot can use elastic scaling, and they can use multiple cores to increase their throughput, to have maybe faster block times or use more data availability or more compute resources from the network. So which parachains can we expect to go first? This is going to be the interesting question. I know that Peak has invested a lot of their resources, and they have communicated about this a lot, that they want to use 12 or even 15 cores. At least that is what they have been testing with. So we will see how much they need in practice. But Peak is ready to have huge amounts of throughput, let's say hundreds of thousands of transactions per second if they need to. And I think their original specification was like 40 or 60,000 transactions per second. Good. So these are the news that we're having. And this also means, in essence, that Polkadot 2.0 is delivered, right? So I think we will make some kind of official celebration, maybe in the coming days or weeks. Yeah, let's see. Let's hope that everything is going fine. But I think at this point it has been tested really, really good. So we can be confident that it's working out. So these are the two big news this week. Supply cap has been introduced and elastic scaling has launched. And so we have Polkadot Cloud 2.0 live. We have a supply cap, which 2 years ago we talked about tokenomics 2.0. So in a way, we are also approaching that. And I think for the whole tokenomics debate, this was actually just the first step. So we talked about supply and we introduced this measure to cap the supply. But I think a lot more work needs to be done on the demand side. We had a few on the side discussions at the Web3 retreat, Web3 Foundation retreat. So this is the first thing I can say about the Web3 Foundation retreat when people ask me is there is a lot of really smart people at the Web3 Foundation and a few more people than I was expecting to see. I don't know exactly, but I think I saw like 50 people or so from the Web3 Foundation. A lot of smart people there, and they really care about DOT. They care about DOT tokenomics. They think about this a lot. They all agree that we need to have a demand side discussion, think hard about where to create demand and what we can do. And this also plays a part in our next segment that we're coming to right now. So Gavin Wood's new product focus, shaping Polkadot, how it influences parity, how it influences the Web3 Foundation, how it influences the DAO. This is the discussion we want to have here. And Gavin Wood was having this interview, I think 2 weeks back with the Kusamarian, and he was talking about the new direction and the role of parity and how they are going to work like with Gavin Wood as the new again CEO of Parity. Just let me turn off the notifications here. So how will Gavin Wood play his role as the CEO of Parity? He's coming to Parity with a fresh mind. He is saying the platform is built. Polkadot is a great platform to build applications on top on. And this plays very much into the original vision of Web3. Web3 is about having applications for, in my words, people without intermediaries. Applications that are permissionless that you can use and no one can interfere with your usage of the application. And the people that you're communicating with, that you're using the applications together with, that you're interacting with, trading with, I don't know, sharing pictures with, or whatever you want to do, right? And I really love about Polkadot that so many people care about this, especially at the Web3 Foundation, especially at Parity. They really want to see Web3 become a reality. And I think this intention now that Gavin is bringing it's making people really excited that they see that Polkadot still cares about Web3 values. It's still working on it. And there is this acknowledgement now that the core platform has been delivered and Polkadot is in a state where you can actually build applications on. And so Parity itself is going to focus on products. They have built this platform to allow others to build on it, but they're not just waiting for others. They are actually building products themselves, lifestyle applications, productivity applications that they want to use in the company. I guess, and my guess is there is going to be, I don't know, apps for communication, like nice chat applications. They're using Elements so far. I guess maybe this is one of the first things that they're replacing. Let's see. But I think the key phrase that stuck with me is that Gavin Wood actually said, bring parity on chain. Yeah. And this idea of bringing a company on chain, bringing all the interesting processes of a company on chain, like secure communication, is, I think, a very relevant part. And so Parity is going to look at what kind of applications are we using every day and bringing those applications on chain. I do know that at the Web3 Foundation retreat, there was a day where they shared Parity shared some information with the Web3 Foundation about what they're actually building. I was not part of that conversation, and I'm not going to push too hard to find it out. I think we will all learn early enough, but I guess maybe at the Parity retreat in 4 weeks, we might learn a few more things. And what we do know is that Parity has been investing for the duration of this year or so to build up a team that can be very heavily product focused. So they are building up this team of people that their sole purpose is to build products for Parity, and they are setting up a system right now where they can very quickly iterate. So the idea is really they have their infrastructure, they have their SDKs, they maybe have access to AI agents, and then they want to very quickly prototype, figure out some ideas. So they're building lists of ideas of what they want to build, trying some of these ideas out really quickly. And then I think they also have like ideas where they are very dedicated on that they really want to build. So I think this is at the core of the whole idea. Gavin is taking charge at the Web3 Foundation, at Parity, and he wants to now build on Polkadot all those applications that they care about and that they are excited about. And now I have a summary for these 3 types of focus that we will now see coming from the Parity and the Web3 Foundation. So this is product focus, this is dot focus, and this is hub focus. And Flash has been asking me on Twitter, so what about cloud? What about Polkadot Cloud? And that is actually very clearly present in the product focus. So we have the Polkadot Cloud, and the Polkadot Cloud is everything that is built on top of it. And Hub is the first and foremost product that Parity Technologies is building for the Polkadot Cloud. So Hub is a product on the Polkadot Cloud. It's the product that allows new users to come in. It's the product where DOT lives on, where stablecoins live on, where smart contracts live on, where governance lives on. And so this is where a lot of interesting stuff can happen. And I have heard some things about what Parity is also intending to build. So I think they are starting to take this idea of the Polkadot Cloud really to heart, really thinking about what are the core primitives that we need, that they want to have. And so they will be focusing on products that leverage DOT as a token, that give utility to DOT as a token. So everything you will be doing with those products will use DOT as the payment token. This might be parachains, this might be system chains, these might be smart contracts, but all of them, what they will have in common is that they will put DOT first, and they will give a clear utility to DOT so that you can use all of those features of the Polkadot Cloud and you pay with DOT and have a clear utility for DOT, right? And so this ties into our discussion of how can we create the proper demand for DOT? Well, and here it's coming together. We have Polkadot as a platform, we have the Polkadot Cloud, and all of its services and parachains that are living on top of it. And they leverage DOT as the native token to expose all of those functionalities. And the idea, I think, is clearly to create network effects. So if you have those applications, if you have those products, and they use DOT natively, there is also a good network effect in connecting these applications. They talk to each other. You can use them in the same application. And for the time coming, Hub will be the focus here, right? So building this sort of center, this hub, this place, this plaza, where you can just deploy applications and they tap into all the native functionality of Polkadot is going to be the focus in the near term. Build a really good, strong central point where there's network effects, where you can go where everything is connected already and attached to, and really flesh out that vision, make sure there's enough in liquidity, make sure there is this initial set of products that we can actually use. So yeah, so this is the product focus, this is DOT focus, and this is Hub focus. We talked a little bit about Parity. Now, the question is, of course, also what is the impact on the Web3 Foundation going to be? So there's 2 things that I took with from this week. One of them is, it's interesting to see that there is a bit of an internal reconfiguration going on at the Web3 Foundation. Multiple things are happening, and it's still an ongoing process. And I think it's also a process that is interlinked with what's going on with parity, the ideas that Gavin Wood is developing. And I think there's 3 major developments. So one of them is there is this ecosystem success team forming. We have a few, there have been a few team members already being hired earlier this year and now recently also. And so they have this internal reconfiguration of ecosystem success, coming to a clear understanding of what ecosystem success means, coming also to a clearer understanding of how they want to organize their business development. Maybe I'm hoping also that there is a business development pipeline where they have a clear understanding of what's going on each step. And then, of course, there can be teams like we have Magenta, 265 Dots, we have Papermoon, we have other teams in the ecosystem that are focusing on business development, and they are working with the Web3 Foundation. But I think the clear benefit that can come from the Web3 Foundation is that they have the credibility, they have the standing, and so they have the authority to, when they talk with other companies, potential partners, potential leads, to tell them, hey, we have this team for you, they are doing great work, and we give you in there, like, we trust them onto you, and basically you can work together with them. And I think the core responsibility of the Web3 Foundation ideally is that they have an eye on the whole process, on the whole pipeline, and they see how many leads are in each step of the pipeline, where ideally you meet new potential companies, institutions, big and small teams, and they get to know Polkadot, they get to understand what types of processes from their company or the business case or their use cases can they bring, and where can they use Web3 and where does it actually make sense. And then at the end of this pipeline, there would be actual applications, right? And so what we need to do is we need to guide those companies and those teams through those steps to understand how they can eventually build the applications that are useful for them and their customers or their users. And having an eye on that whole process and pipeline is, I think, the spot where the Web3 Foundation would be ideal. So this is ecosystem success. Part 2 is grants. So the Web3 Foundation will be revising their grant strategy. I think there is a lot of work going into this. And again, this will have a very heavy focus on seeing actual products see the light of the day, that have a dot focus, that have a hub focus, that utilize those things, that have a clear perspective on ROI, that have a clear path to sustainability. And I think the Web3 Foundation will become much more strict here and have a much stricter focus on, if they're funding something, it has to very quickly have a path to actually see the light of the day and become productive and useful. Use dot, use core time, use hub, those things. That's the second thing. And then the third thing is the Web3 Foundation will become an active voter in the Polkadot DAO in OpenGov. And this is a change that is that I think got a lot of people very excited, but of course it also raises a lot of questions. What does it mean when the Web3 Foundation becomes active in voting? What we heard Gavin Wood say is that they want OpenGov to be more strategic. And strategic, in my mind, means have a more coherent plan about what is going on and what is actually being approved and rejected. So they want to bring more intentionality here. And then I guess this will mean that there will be an alignment with all the other efforts that are going on. So if Parity is building very product focused, if the grant programs will be focused on those things, I think what we will see is that OpenGov will also play a part in the role here. And so I think this will be structured in a way where these things complement each other. Now we can ask, what does this mean for bounties? What does it mean for the general proposal that is coming into OpenGov? Will they be generally accepted, rejected? Will the Web3 Foundation come up with an idea of how could OpenGov have a budget, maybe, and have spending buckets where there's a clear understanding, this is how much money should go into operations, into development, into research, into business development, into talent. And then within those buckets, maybe there is the opportunity to apply. So I think the main question, if you look at it from a legislative aspect, is will they have a very clear agenda about how the budget should look like? And that means basically creating individual buckets, spending buckets, and then proposals can come and go there, which very much would be in line with the original idea of the bounty system. Do they have something different in mind? So that's one set of questions. Then the second set of questions is how much of a role will bounties play in the future? Will they stay as they are? Will they be reconfigured? Is the mode the same in how bounties are being created? And my guess is that, again, the Web3 Foundation will have a clearer plan of what they actually want to see. And that means also having an understanding of what types of bounties are actually needed and wanted. And then funding accordingly, and also creating mandates accordingly. I think bounties so far are proving a really good model. They are sort of like sub-DAOs or teams or departments, and they are fulfilling a certain purpose. So I think as a general direction model, it's a pretty good model. Having departments is a good idea. And I think where we have to improve in as OpenGov is to have a clearer mandate for them, give them like really specific jobs, what we want them to achieve. As one example, I think the marketing bounty is doing good work, and OpenGov is giving the marketing bounty a very general direction in which they should work. But what OpenGov could do is actually like become more specific about what should happen. I think it's like tough to negotiate this in an open manner and in a constructive manner that is really working out in a good way. But I feel this is something where OpenGov could actually like come to better agreements. If they give like specific jobs and instructions to bounties about what they want to see, this is a way how OpenGov can maintain overall control. But then you can have people, subject matter experts in the bounties actually operating and making sure that the intention of the DAO is being fulfilled. I think this would be a good alignment to have actually a budget. And by now we have 2 full years, like 9 quarters. We are arriving at the ninth quarter, the ninth full quarter of treasury activities. And this, for like, since we have like 2 years data complete, I would say we have enough data points to actually say the DAO could go for a budget and could say we want to spend such and such amount on operations, which is always the baseline, and then some amount on development, some amount on outreach, maybe something on business development, talent, and so on. So I think we have the data points, and the Web3 Foundation will have now an internal process, and they are already having this. Gavin Wood has stated that they are working on a spending policy with Polkadot. It's not super clear to me what that means. Is it like sort of a general direction? Is it specific ideas? But the Web3 Foundation will come up with a concept. They are having their own council, as we heard from Gavin. And then I heard a few additional ideas or concepts at the Web3 Foundation retreat, but I guess these are not yet ready for publication. But I think the Web3 Foundation is coming to a good understanding, and they're asking very critical and important questions about the whole process because they want to do it good. And it's not just the OpenGov teams at the Web3 Foundation that are thinking about this. I had conversations like at breakfast with people from very different departments at the Web3 Foundation that are really honestly thinking about how the Web3 Foundation can do this in a good manner. Web3 Foundation people care about decentralization, they care about Web3 values. And so if they contribute to this whole process, they want to do it right. And this has really impressed me that the Web3 Foundation people are thinking about those things, even if it's not their department, even if they're like separate and doing separate things, but they do care about this. Okay, so we have talked about parity, we talked about the Web3 Foundation, we talked about the DAO. I think we talked about most relevant things. If you want, we can open this up now to Q&A. I wanted to give you my latest thoughts on the topic. So yeah, I'm gonna show the chat. We can show the chat here. So if you want, you can like add some questions here. And in the meantime, maybe let's wrap this up. So I think the product focus that we heard Gavin Wood talk about, and where we also heard like at the recent Polkadot Blockchain Academy in Bali, he gave a very interesting and bullish talk. We are trying to get hold of the video there. So Gavin is giving this direction. He's sorting the things out. He is working with the Web3 Foundation. And so there's a lot of work going on right now to come to a consolidated strategy. But everyone in these organizations is already ready. I think people are hot for getting stuff done to build products. And I think it's the right point in time right now. Polkadot 2.0 has launched, essentially. Hub is about to launch. And so I think engineers also will be ready for new adventures. I think the products that are being built will have an influence on Polkadot itself. So there will be new iterations. And yeah, so I think this is the general direction in which we're getting ready. Okay, first question here is when will 1710 implemented? 1710 refers to Polkadot OpenGov referendum 1710. This is hard pressure. This is the hard pressure model. When will the hard pressure model be implemented? It is actually implemented. So one of the technical fellowship members, Dom, has already built the code. And now the question is, how does the code actually get into Polkadot? So the way this works is that the individual fellowship members, they submit their code for review to other fellowship members. And then everyone asks Basti to review the PR. Not just Basti, but also the other fellowship members. But we know that Basti is very popular when it comes to reviewing PRs. So Dom is saying it's a fairly non-complex change because it's essentially changing simple values. I guess the review still has to be very thorough because it changes like the emission of tokens. So you don't want to have like a mistake, like, I don't know, minting 10 times or 1,000 times the amount. But it should be a fairly simple change still, right? But we want to be thorough. And then the rollout might come after the launch of Polkadot Hub. Polkadot Hub will launch early November. I think it's the 4th of November. I could be wrong, but I think it's the 4th of November. And so the next release after Polkadot Hub could actually already be the rollout of the hard cap. You can keep in mind the rules are already there. So the first reduction should come on the 14th of March, Pi Day, and then every 2 years from there on out. Good. Okay. Next question. Any update on Jam? Not that I'm aware of. I think it should be better. I think the latest gray paper release was 0.7. I'm not sure if we're already on 0.8. And from my understanding, the basic specification of Jam is done. The teams are already working to get to milestone 2, and milestone 2 is sort of feature completeness, I believe. And then everything from there on is optimizations. So I think work is ongoing, and it is mostly lying with the implementation teams right now. And I think this is also the reason why Gavin now has the time to put his attention also to other matters, to work on the product focus of Polkadot, is because I guess he will like always be working on Jam, and there is a lot of stuff that he has to work on Jam. But it feels to me that a major part of the work of Jam is done in a way that it's now most of the weighting now lies on the other teams and the client teams that are building Jam. I know that there is lots of testing and testing improvements done so that these clients can be tested against each other, and it's more about getting the stuff done now and looking at the performance. I don't know anything more, but I will try to get maybe a few more updates on this. Okay, any additional thoughts on how you see business development evolving going forward? Any region-specific conversations? Not from the conversations I have been part of. I think this could be a question that maybe Magenta might be able to answer, or 265 Thoughts. It's not my area of expertise, and I know that the Web3 Foundation is rethinking how they, maybe not in a major way, but I think they're rethinking how they do business development, and their setting up of this ecosystem success team will influence the whole process. I don't know much more. I know that the new people are thinking heavily about it, but I think it will also be influenced by what does Gavin Wood think and what does the council at the Web3 Foundation think according to the new strategy. So I guess we might still have to wait a bit for that, but it will align with the product specific focus. Sorry for not having a better answer here. Yeah, hardcap will need to be enshrined in Jam. When will that happen? How can someone verify this? When Jam launches, it can include the code for the enshrinement. And what that essentially means is that you're moving it from OpenGov, which is sort of on the Polkadot cloud level, and you move it to the validator logic, which means that any changes to the tokenomics would have to be supported by the validators. So previously, Polkadot was very keen on communicating that it has a forkless upgrade model, which is true for all the parachains. But now, basically, there is this part of the protocol, of the Polkadot protocol, that goes over to Jam, which is all about the validators and how block production is being done. And so this will again become fork full. So in the future, again, if there is a change to the core protocol, which will be Jam in the future, the engine, if there is a change to the Jam protocol and the engine, this will go through a hard fork in the future, because essentially this part is ossifying and becoming more stable again. Yeah, and then it will be enshrined in Jam. When will that happen? When Jam launches, right? But it does not. It's always a part of governance, right? And so we are, so to say, enshrining it now in on the OpenGov level, and then when Jam launches, I guess it will carry that model, but we will see. When off-chain workers back, I'm sorry, but this is not my field of expertise. I cannot tell you anything about this. If I hear something, I will tell you. Okay. Do you have any updates on the Polkadot app? Last we heard they were waiting on App Store approvals. Yes. So Berto gave a presentation to the Web3 Foundation about the app. I'm not sure what kind of information is public, so I would rather not answer that. I'm sorry. Okay. Good. Yeah, thank you for the questions. I hope this was helpful. I'm glad you were joining the conversation here. Yeah, you can also let me know what you think about this format of maybe a bit more talking head and more of a discussion-based approach. Quite often I like to show the screen and show you everything that's going on. But yeah, I felt like this week it's more about really having this foundational and grounded discussion and not showing you screens and websites. So yeah, we will try this more often, I guess. I like the questions you are having. I hope they're helpful. And yeah, so I'm always the guy who, I don't know, I see it as part of my job to be excited about Polkadot. Like I'm very, very, very deeply excited about Polkadot and everything that it brings. And recently there is like very heavy, Polkadot is changing on a very fundamental way in terms of how we think about Polkadot. Yeah. So every ecosystem is not just the technology, but also the community that carries it. And I've been saying these things before, but it is really lovely for me that I'm working in an ecosystem with people that care about Web3 values, because we live in a world where institutions get people wrecked over and over and over again. And it's a lovely thing to see in crypto overall that institutions are coming on board. And the way I see it is that if they could have chosen it, they might have ignored crypto forever, right? Because they are happy with the way things are going. But crypto is a revolution in the way that it on a very deep level, it cannot be compromised. Like it's very hard to compromise Bitcoin. It's very hard to compromise Ethereum. If you you could compromise Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polkadot, and so on, but the core ideas of it are not really compromisable. The core technology of building blockchain and building permissionless applications like BitTorrent. BitTorrent for me is a Web3 technology, even though it has nothing to do with blockchain. But it's permissionless. Everyone can join the system and exchange files. And I think the true revolution here is that we're building applications that give control to people. And it makes me very excited that the people in Polkadot care about this to a level that they're not compromising the big institutions. Of course, we would love to have them on board, but I think the big advantage of Polkadot is that we are building technologies where you can have applications, where you can interact with people, and this also includes money. And we have not talked about proof of personhood today, but at the foundation of money is how people are trusting each other. And I think proof of personhood in the long run will play a very, very, very substantial role in helping us replace traditional institutions and get to ways of money that are defined by us and play by our rules, and that are even harder to get compromised by institutions. And if some form of money gets compromised, it does not matter, because we can always fork away from it and create forms of money that play by the rules we want to play by. And I'm very happy to see that people in the Web3 Foundation that have been in crypto for a very long time, that really care about these values, are here. The same at Parity. And it recently is inspiring me even more. Recent months, I've been very tired. I felt like I worked too much this year. And so I'm trying to take a bit of a slower approach. I had to regenerate a bit. But this is really instilling a very deep-seated sense of trust in me, that I have so many people that I can trust are working in the right direction. And so even though I'm taking it a bit slow in recent days, I've not been as active on Twitter and YouTube. I'm working in the background. I know that these people are working in the background, and it's really exciting to have like you all on the journey, and to really make this a reality, and to see that Gavin is dedicated to make this happen, and all of these people are dedicated to make this happen. So I wanted to get this off my heart. It gives me a very deep sense of trust that I want to continue working in Polkadot and keep reporting on YouTube on all of those things, immerse myself more, and invite all of you to be part of the journey. All right. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for all your questions, and we see each other in the coming days. Goodbye.